Welcome to the very first full episode of the Clinic Scale podcast. I'm Dr. Andy Kurt, I'm a doctor of chiropractic, and this show is all about the real conversations behind building, growing, and thriving in chiropractic. Whether you're a new grad, associate, or clinic owner, you're in the right place. Today's guest is someone I've known and respected for years. He's not just a great chiropractor, he's helped hundreds of others sharpen their hands, trust their instincts, and find the true cause of their patients' problems. Tom Lawrence is a clinic owner, educator, and the creator of Finding the Primary. He's built a practice with integrity, taught all over the UK, and juggled it all while raising a family. Let's dive straight in. Welcome to the podcast, Tom. It's great to have you here.
Hey Andy, how you doing, mate?
Good. So our first episode, we're starting with the best. Tom, let's go.
I'll take it.
Let's go straight into it. So, how did you get into chiropractic? I've actually never asked you that. I've known you for years, but I've never asked you how you came into it. What was the cause? Did you have a pain problem? Was it family? Tell us.
It's family. All our family started going to see a chiropractor. I was a little bit lost about not knowing what to do. I actually was looking at going into medicine at one point. My brain is very quite mechanical in the steps it needs to go through, and I decided that actually doing something like biochemistry or something like that wasn't going to be the thing for me. I had to work for like orthopedics, so that was going to be it. If I ended up doing placements in various universities, ready for taking on a medical degree. And two things happened. First thing was when I did these placements, I found that the more you go into it, the more you become the guy that does the one operation over and over and over again. And that actually confirmed it when in the degree we were assigned to orthopedic surgery for 3 weeks, because it was just the same shit over and over and over and over and over. I think the game was see how many knees we could do in a day. So I kind of taught myself out of it, and I didn't know what to do, knew what to help something, and it was going with, I think, my mum to one of her appointments. The person at the time was looking after me, who actually ended up working for me for a bit. It was like it just gobsmacked, like, why aren't you just doing this? Like the whole family comes, you see the benefits, let's go for it. And that was it. It was a penny drop moment, and started. Well, that was it. I was set on it, straight into chiropractic from there on.
I mean, I got into chiropractic. I mean, my story, I wouldn't say it was like your traditional route. Most people that I've spoken to with chiropractic have said they've had some kind of pain point. They saw the chiropractor and they're like, it's changed my life, and then I become a chiropractor. I don't think my story was as exciting. I mean, for me, my parents used to see chiropractors on and off over the years. I think the style of chiropractic is very different to how I practice now, the type of chiropractors that they would have seen. And for me, I was in the military. A lot of people don't know that I was in the military. And when I was coming to the end of my service, I thought, well, what do I do now? And I had a friend that was a chiropractor. His name is Jordan Frias Metcalf. He might be listening to the show. And he was studying chiropractic, and he said, "Hey, I'm doing this course. It's really cool. Maybe you should give it a go." So I did a foundational year. And that gave me the option to study chiropractic, physio, osteo, and I got adjusted by someone in the clinic, and that changed my life from that point, because I used to have headaches, neck pain, shoulder pain, and that really changed my life, and the rest was history, really. So that's what got me into it, Tom. For you, you've done the chiropractic thing, you're a successful business owner, you run big practice in the north. I think you went to two. I'd love to hear a bit more about that. I know you've told me never to do that, but I'd love to hear about that. But also you came up with a revolutionary course that's really changing the way chiropractors treat patients in the UK. So tell us a bit about your businesses and what's the plans going forward.
So yeah, so Finding the Primary is the coaching side. And it's not just me, there's another Tom as well. So it's nice and easy for everyone to remember two Toms. Um, Names are obviously cheap up north. But Yeah, it all started. I remember the point in practice, and there was an overarching question that kind of ran through with one of the clinicians, and at the point, I just didn't really have an answer. So I'll ask you and see what you come up with. Okay? Um, and the question is like, there was a 72 or whatever it was year old bloke in clinic, and bad arthritis in the knees, and he stood there, and he was a sports therapist that was actually asking me the question at the time, and they're like, oh, I asked them, what are you going to do with him? And they went, oh, well, he's tight through here, and this muscle's in spasm, and this is tight, and there's an imbalance going across here. So I'm going to massage this, I'm going to relax this, I'm going to stretch this, I'm going to do this, that, da, da, da. And I was like, so that's great, but what happens if those things that are happening are actually the things that's causing instability at the minute?
Hmm.
Hmm. And that started getting the cogs going a bit, because more often than not, clinicians are working in a way where we're actually making a judgment call by just seeing things or feeling things on the table, but the bias is coming from I see X, which must mean Y, so therefore I'm going to implement Z. But we don't know whether the actual things that are there are, adaptations towards stability, or adaptations that have been going on that we could potentially say that they're working towards a maladaptation, or now creating the problem themselves.
Okay.
So that's where we've jumped into. So
Yeah.
that's where we jumped into it, and we were going, okay, well, let's have a look across like all the different like techniques that are out there, and let's try and find the root of that question. Like, how do we actually get that to and fro? Yet again, there's a lot of techniques which are very, very prescriptive. It's like, if you see this cranial torsion or this here or here, that means you put the blocks here or you adjust here. Well, we don't know. It's not always uniform for everybody. And it was Tom at the time, and I started looking down the whole idea of, because I hadn't really done too much at that point, so I started looking into the whole paradigms of like muscle testing and the rest, and um, that in a way started to make a bit more sense, because there is a two-way conversation instead of one way. It's not just seeing something or feeling something; it's actually we put input into the body and we see a reaction back. And but there was a lot of flaws to all the systems that we looked at, and then that's where over about 2 years or so we just chipped away at it and just really tried to work out why bits here made sense and not here, and why this, and what does that mean if that worked with this. And it's been a development now. I mean, we've now done, I can't really think, probably we've been running the courses now for 5 6 years. We've been running probably consistently 5 or 6 courses, so
Wow.
probably 30 35 courses over the last five
I
years. And
can't believe it's
one
been I
thing,
can't believe it's been 5 or 6 years already, because I remember
yeah,
even when you just launched it, I think that was actually around the time I met you. You literally just launched the course. So, I mean, how many people have you
yeah,
helped with chiropractic so far with your training?
I don't know. We were having this discussion the other day, but it's interesting because um, some courses I think we've had like 45, 50. Some, like the last one we ran was a few weeks ago, and we have 13. And it's cool working with both those groups, um, because you get so much different aspects out of it. But one thing we can say is that even now with the course material, like, it's constantly evolving, and we're constantly working out how to teach better, how to make things simple, more simplistic, how to really refine so it's really usable in practice. So
Yeah, I mean, I know
yeah,
we've had you at our clinic. So, for those of you who don't know, um, I run a life chiropractic clinic in Christchurch in Dorset, and we're part of a wider group. So we have 5 clinics in the UK, and Tom actually came to do a Finding the Right Primary course at one of our clinics in Essex, and we
mm,
had nothing but positive feedback. So I could definitely recommend your program for any chiropractor that's really looking to upskill and find the primary place to do an adjustment and finding that root cause of the problem. We always talk about root cause in chiropractic. If you want to find the root cause of your patient's issues, then Tom's your guy. I would really like to hammer that home.
But there's beautiful things when you actually find maybe not the root cause, but the place in that moment that the neurology needs the most
Yeah,
for. Because when you do stimulate the correct area, there is some just out insane things that can happen on the bench in front of you. And I think also the courses are getting people more aware with the things that are happening there that they're probably missing in practice anyway. And once you're more aware of that, then you can actually communicate better, and it changes the complete perspective of outcomes of what you're trying to achieve in practice from day to day.
totally. I mean, it's a very different way of looking at the human body to start with, us chiropractors. You know, we're very much inside out versus outside in, so very different from the standard medical profession. I know there's some chiropractors that would debate that. And you know, you've got your evidence-based, your evidence-informed chiros. I know I'm more towards, you know, you've got the straight chiropractic and the vitalistic. The vitalistic and more mechanical. And then even in vitalistic, you've got more towards evidence-informed or pure straight chiropractic. So we're all a bit of a mix. I don't know two chiropractors that have the exact same philosophy. That's very rare to find that. In terms of finding the primary, I'm hearing it's probably more vitalistic based. So what would you say about that? I know vitalistic's more a philosophy, but where would you say you're at in terms of that spectrum?
Um, it's interesting because as soon as you use the words, you were like earlier, like, oh yeah, treating people or that sort of analogy. My aspect is that we don't treat anything. We don't treat any condition, any cause to any extent. And what we are doing is we're trying to work out how we can actually hotwire the nervous system for the best effect. And the majority of that time is trying to get it out of that sympathetic dominant response into the parasympathetics. Um, and when we're actually looking at the neuroplastic changes that might have had in someone, it's in that moment going, okay, well, to get to that effect, how, like, what is the point to make that chain more effective or more efficient in the brain? And that's the way that we can start re-educating the brain to work in more optimal ways. So yes, we are. I'd be saying, like, when I've got somebody on the bench, I'm not ever adjusting a. I'm I'm definitely never adjusting a person's condition, and the fact that we pedal home about, especially on the adjusting seminars, is the fact that there's only really one adjustment we are doing. We're only adjusting the brain. It's just multiple contact points. So I would say we're more vitalistic than anything else.
Yeah,
Um, but getting into the arguments of whether we are straight or mixers or whatever else
yeah.
is a much wider debate, and that becomes a debate whether it's just someone is therapeutic or not, if you are expecting an effect or not. And I think you'd be hard pressed to find a lot of chiropractic that um, yeah,
In
fits some
my
kind of flavor or not.
experience, you know, I've been a chiropractor since 2018. In my experience, there is no one size that fits all patients. So like everything that you do, the way you assess that client, you know, the history, everything needs to be tailored to that client. And even terminology that I'm using, like clients, some clinics call them guests. It's all down to that clinic. It's all down to your philosophies, and it's all down to the particular patient, client, guest, whatever you want to call them. But ultimately, what I'm hearing from you is that with chiropractic, from your perspective, when we are adjusting that person, we're treating the
Hmm.
person, not necessarily a symptom.
Yeah, it's all about how do we make this person work more effectively.
Work more effectively. Okay.
That's it. And if we can do that, they have more capacity to deal with other things,
So I have a
whether that is
yeah,
issues in health or
yeah. I have a question, Tom. So
go for it.
I can imagine that your courses, as you said, you've had 40 plus people in a room. I've seen you at the UCA conference. I never forget that I saw you doing your adjustments at the UCA, one person after the next. It was beautiful. You were so focused. And I know I've done training before with other coaches and in terms of chiropractic adjustments, and they always say about dropping in, and you were tremendously dropped in. Nothing, it didn't matter
Hmm.
that there were thousands of people in the room. You were so focused on that adjustment of that person. It was so unique and so special. I've never seen anyone be so dropped in on a client. So When you have these associates and these students doing your courses, what do you
Mhm.
find is that they tend to get wrong when it comes to adjusting or their clinical reasoning or finding the primary? What is it they tend to struggle with?
So this whole concept of dropping in and being uber focused is it's a bit of a debate point. Okay, now I've been on a lot of courses. I've heard a lot of coaches talk about being really focused with that client in that moment in time. But my thing is, you look, be more specific of what you're dropping into. There's no, I can stand there and take a breath and really center myself and do whatever, but that has no apparent effect for much unless it's focused into the thing that I'm trying to achieve and monitor. So um, when you see me doing those adjustments, I'm not just doing it for like, oh, it's to center myself and give myself the better energy. What I'm actually doing is I'm watching and monitoring reactions on the person. Now, there's markers, say if someone's on their back or on the compared to when they're on the front. So if someone's laid on their back and I've got my hands on them or near them, there will be things I'll be monitoring. I'll be monitoring carotid pulses. I'll be looking down the body. I'll be actually looking at the abdominal pulse. I'll be seeing flushing. I'll be looking at the eyes. So when I'm looking at the eyes, post an adjustment, if you hit the right places, we can get different like rapid eye movements and flicking. Okay. There are changes within skin flushing. Okay. Now, it is the thing that people cock up isn't the adjustment themselves, it's the ability to wait until that integration has stopped. So we have to give the person on the bench time for that massive bump of neurological stimulus to actually settle in. Now, if you jump the gun and you are waiting and don't wait until it's actually integrated and then do another adjustment, that thing could be malplaced. And actually, instead of creating more efficiency in the nervous system, actually include more areas in the cortex and create subluxation, lack of efficiency.
So, Tom, when we study it at university, I studied at the AECC, which is now called the HSU. And where did you study?
Hmm.
Was it WEOC? Or
We
yeah,
are,
you were
yeah.
at WEOC. So we learn diversified technique, and basically by
Hmm.
the end of a diversified technique, you're learning the magic seven or magic nine, depending on who you ask. So you're just adjusting, two cervicals, a thoracic, the lumbar, the SIs, and then it's on to the next patient, maybe do some soft tissue. What are your thoughts on that kind of style of chiropractic? Do you think you're really doing the patient justice?
It depends what you're trying to achieve. If I'm trying to achieve moving bones for the sake of moving bones, maybe give the person a 20-minute bump of a bit of a Golgi tendon stretch and feeling good.
Yeah,
Then if that's your achievement, then great, that's what you're going to get. If you actually want to change someone's physiology on the bed and actually change somebody to be pushed towards a parasympathetic swing consistently, then that's not the way forward. It's not. Like we have, and I can show you post this, but a lot more and more people are having the HRV rings and the rest that was a kit that we were using 10 years ago with the CLA devices, but now people are a lot more in tracking their own health statuses with the Whoop and all the rest of it.
right.
But we literally, if you hit the right places, can see changes in the HRV over time. Now, if I was just going to get somebody and bash bones where I felt things were stiff, sometimes you'll hit, sometimes you won't, sometimes it'll create more issues.
It's almost like a shotgun approach that hopefully something will stick.
100%.
Or it could have
Absolutely.
the
And this
counter
goes,
effect as well on some people. You can definitely overdo it with chiropractic, can't you?
yeah. And this goes back to text. I mean, like, as much as some chiropractors shut down when we refer to things that were written previously by the main guys who created us, there's documents and leaflets describing majors and minors, and it talks about shotguns, shotgun effects, and how it's not helpful. And this was going back to the 1800s and 1900s.
Hmm.
Um, so we've kind of forgotten the basis of what we're trying to achieve and just becoming more of a I think the manual therapy is probably the best word for it in active description, isn't it? So, yeah, But on this, I mean, the point is at university, I will say, university isn't there, or the university isn't set up to teach us how to work. It's to teach us a manual skill. Now, I don't agree that that's the best outcome for people, but at least they can say that it's not going to cause any harm.
Yeah, I guess there's a topic that we'll talk about with regards
That's a
to the
subsequent podcast,
yeah,
mate.
the
That's a long.
universities and where that's headed. I understand, I think the most important thing is that when you graduate, if you're a student, listen to this. I think the most important thing is by the time you graduate, you need to be a safe practitioner. You need to be a safe chiropractor. But also, you can't be scared of chiropractic at the same time. And, coming out scared of doing the thing that we are designed to do and we've been put on this earth to do, that will hold you back. So, speaking to someone like Tom and learning to be confident with chiropractic and how to use your hands to find the primary, that's where you've got to go. You've really got to go into chiropractic with that confidence if you're going to have a successful career. And obviously, we manage success differently. But Tom, going back to my question originally,
Can I just add a point on that? Can I just add a point on
yeah,
that?
go on.
The one thing that you've negated to say there is go into university understanding the concept that when you finish, you are only safe. You are not a good practitioner.
Yes,
And because there's too many people who are coming out and do not evolve past that,
yes, yes,
um, do not evolve past that into practice and think this is it, this is the end product. It's not. You can place your hands on them, we can get you insurance. Let's now teach you to be a practitioner. And it's worrying, like over the years, the biggest thing that gobsmacks me is people who come onto the courses and are like, oh, well, I've seen you and I wanted to do it, but realistically, this is the first CPD I've done in 8 years. And you think, how in a profession where we're based with people is that a thing?
yeah. I mean, this is the thing,
Uh,
right? I think the chiros that end up leaving chiropractic, they're usually the ones I found that they are not investing in themselves. And I've always said, I was having a discussion with my marketing manager of my businesses today. We were talking about we, in terms of success, we've said that, in order to, we've heard people say, in order to make money, you've got to spend money. And then we were like, oh, that's a bit gross when people say that sort of thing. It's like, ugh. Like it's so out of touch. And then we thought, well, maybe it's more about, you need to invest in order to get success.
mm.
Would you say that's true? I mean, if you're a new grad and you're listening to this, would you say that, we know you're money strapped right now. We get it. We were there too. We all lived in house shares at uni.
But not,
But
but not everything's monetary either.
exactly.
So it should be again, it should be looked at as like spending time in other practices. That's an investment of time. It's low cost. Going out and meeting other people, having to speak to people who have been practitioners for a year in the right areas that you want to be in. Like that's an investment. I've got a good friend of mine which you should have on this podcast, Johnny Collier, and his big thing is even when, as a clinician, you go and get an adjustment, especially as a new grad, you should pay for that adjustment, whether that is paying directly for the exchange or whether that is paying by putting the money that you would have spent into an account for future CPD. Like there has to be some exchange of time, money or resources, whether physical or non-physical, um,
Yes.
for you to appreciate it, but also to build an investment within yourself.
I could not agree more with you on that. I'm sure you know as well, Tom, when you're running businesses, you just want to help everyone and you want to serve as many people as you can. You've got this skill set and this knowledge. And as soon as you try to teach this to close friends or family, they don't appreciate it as much because they're not investing in that and they don't appreciate how much you've invested to get to that knowledge base. So I don't know about you, Tom, but probably you've had a few more years in chiropractic than I have. But I worked
Careful.
out. I worked out. Yeah, I worked out the other day. I've spent over £50,000 in coaching alone, and that's all in the last since graduating. That is. So since graduating, I spent over £50,000, and a lot of that is in the last 4 years since being a chiropractic business owner. So that's a hefty investment into my future. So, like you said, if you want success, you need to invest.
Yeah, it's always interesting to remind yourself. on a yearly basis what money you're putting out, just not for the sake of being like, yeah, a tight Yorkshireman,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
for the fact of actually acknowledging what you are. I'm not going to say how much we do in the clinic. It's crazy.
definitely, and it's always important to remember your roots and where you've come from. And I think it's sometimes I pinch myself thinking, I came from very humble beginnings. We never wanted for too much, but I came from very humble beginnings. And if I compare the lifestyle I lived then to the lifestyle that I have now, it's very different. But it's always important to remain humble, is what I found. So going back, Tom, in your courses,
Hmm.
what do associates get wrong when it comes to adjusting?
Um, in the courses, what they social get on. So not giving the person time to integrate, jumping adjustments too quickly. So as in like rolling one into the next.
Hmm.
I think people that we've already talked about the assumption or pro providing care based on assumptions of what you see or what you feel without actually seeing what the reaction of the person on the bench has before we apply it.
Yeah.
So it's very, I mean, we talk about like above, down, inside out, but then we apply our external eye of like, I see you are rotated to the left, so therefore I'm going to push you on the right. We don't know if that's what that system needs. So let's provide a little bit of that stimulus and let's see what happens on the back end of
Yeah.
it. I also think the pacing is a big thing. And you talked about, yeah, again, you're about that focus dropping, but understanding actually how people are processing the world around them and how their brain works. And there's some very simple tests, and that will allow you to either pace an adjustment quickly, slowly, and provide the correct support afterwards for them to take it up. And
Great. And thank you for some.
that's it.
Yeah, thank you for summarizing that. I mean, that's so helpful. I mean, I wish I knew that all when I first graduated. It would have made the first couple of years so much easier.
Hmm.
You did mention Tom earlier, your business partner,
Hmm.
and I think it's fair that we give him a mention. He actually posted on our Facebook group, Clinic Scale Community. So we have a Facebook group that is built it's a free Facebook group. It's mainly for chiropractors, but if you work in a health clinic, you're always welcome to join. We try and restrict it to just people that work in health clinics. So the group is designed to grow, lead, and scale your practice. So we talk about things from attracting new patients, conversions, retention, and then ultimately how to scale your practice beyond that. And we actually had a post from a chiropractic student, and the chiropractic student, her name is Tegan Pierce, and it's actually Tom, your business partner, that's responded on the group. And I'd like to read it out because I think it's very apparent and it makes a lot of sense and related to what we're talking about. So it goes, "Hi everyone, I'm Tegan. I'm a HSU student chiropractor and coming to the end of my studies. I wanted to gain some insights about transitioning from student to a full chiropractor. I would like to know more about what areas you struggled with after leaving university and how you overcame it. Any tips or tricks would be amazing. Looking forward to hearing from you all." So we had a few comments on there, but I'd say that Tom's one really stood out to me. So I'm just going to read out Tom's response. So Tom said, and I'd love to hear your view on this, Tom, as well. So go with the mindset that it's going to take at least another 5 years to become proficient and feel confident. I think we all get a little more anxious when we come out and don't know everything. If you can accept that, then it won't be the case for you for a while, and you permit yourself to make mistakes and learn more. Most people will allow you that wiggle room, and especially when they know you've just graduated. Own that and don't conceal it. It will, but you some time and leeway with people's patience and understanding. Learn how to communicate effectively and be principled. Do not focus on technique. Unless uni didn't teach you to adjust properly, then in that case, also train technique. So, what are your thoughts on that, Tom? Without throwing your business partner under the bus, I'd love to hear your if you're aligned. Like I say about philosophies, like, are you aligned in that way?
Yeah, it's full of shit. No, I'm joking. It's, no, it's exactly what you've just been talking about. It's taking that stance of like you're not it. You're not the finished product, and don't expect it to be. Don't buy into the whole, you know, Tim Young, you should be seeing 1,000 a week or lifestyle. You got to work out to you as well, actually, what you want. I think that's the biggest thing that, a lot of us don't do. We see that somebody else is doing something and expect that to be the standard, when actually that might not be the thing that you need, wants, or aligns with you. So I feel like for me, and we see obviously a lot of associates that come through and that are coach, and it's the idea of just like, let's work out what you actually want. Let's work out a realistic time frame, and then let's put a proper realistic expectation of how we're going to get there. Um, because trying to be somebody that you're not just because somebody else has done it that way isn't going to align. And I think the other thing that he's put in there is like own it was one word that hit me. Like
Mm,
people buy into you. Like it is much better to go, do you know what? I'm not sure, and be honest than actually do the whole bullshitting routine and then smell it
yeah.
10 miles away.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're not the finished product, and but with proper help, you will be. And actually, I lie on that. You probably never will be, and accept it because you're always going to be something changing. So
I always
just be
say,
happy.
like, if you're not going forwards in life, you're going backwards. And I know the big Tony Robbins, he says, if you're not growing, you're dying, which is quite extreme, but it's true. In order to be successful in life, you've got to do the things other people aren't prepared to do.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, "Gosh, this all sounds like a hell of a lot that I need to do," if Tom's saying that it's going to take me 5 years to become proficient and feel confident. I can't wait 5 years. Is it really going to take that long? What would you say, Tom?
I'm sorry. You name me another professional career that you come out of university and you are the end product.
Do you know who
You
does it
just
a
do
lot?
that
Do you know
now.
who does it a lot better than chiropractic? I spoke to a dental student the other day. They learn sales, they learn marketing, they learn communication, they
Oh,
learn price
one.
points. They're very advanced. Um,
But what I'm trying to say is like you take a solicitors. You ain't gonna go straight in and be the Don. You've got to
oh,
be
yeah.
the junior, you've got to be the interim, you've got to work up, you've got to work out your basics. Even in doctor, you go from your junior to your ward, and you've got to go through those steps. So I think it's all also borderline arrogant to think that you can come out and be the guys that I'm it now and I deserve this.
Yeah, arrogance is
Earn,
be
earn your
problematic.
spurs, kid.
Yeah, the ego, you've got to control the
Using the
ego.
words.
I spoke to another business owner is in our community. We had a long one-to-one chat. Um, and she was saying that I really want to grow my practice. I worked with chiropractors for years, and I got so sick of the egos of the new grads coming out that, do you know what, we've just created spinal therapists. We couldn't work with the chiropractors anymore. And I said, look, it sounds like you just haven't found the right people. So we always talk about hiring A players. Um, what are your thoughts on that, Tom? Do you think that spinal therapist is the way to go if we can't find the chiropractors as business owners, or do you think it's about very good recruitment and finding those A players? Or is it even A players that we want? Is it will you settle for a B
No,
player?
I don't think that the language is great, if I'm honest.
Go on.
I think it's I think that I think that there is an expectation from clinic owners that we have to have the A player, and the A player is the one because I'm the A player and I've done it before.
Okay.
But you don't need, Andy, we don't need all A players. A players don't run a successful business. We need A and Bs and Cs that, so because, and I think that's the one thing that where we hit ourselves down as business owners is the fact that we expect or want everyone to progress to where we are. And some people don't want that. Some people want a little bit. Some people want input. Some people want to have the voice heard. Some people want a little bit of creative input. But it doesn't mean that they're not A players because they're not wanting to drive and move up and build. And I think that so I think the first thing is I would also say, well, have you actually talked to them that that's what they actually want to achieve, and that actually you trying to pull them uphill is they're going to be the right thing overall? And that's where the friction comes. And
Core values as well,
so,
right, Tom? Core values is massive with this.
yeah, so it's about setting out expansion, expectations of what you're happy to accept and what you are and having that conversation about what actually for now, what is it that you want and how can we achieve it and what would happen, what would it look like if, and this is a conversation for you as a business owner, what happens if they don't want to go up the ladder? What happens if they want to stay at this level? That's fine. It might not mean that you have to ditch them. It might mean that actually we need somebody else because this is the capacity and limit of that person, and they're happy, and the client base is happy, and that area of that team is good. But then let's fill the gap elsewhere, and let's not expect this one to go everywhere.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. And over the years, I've worked with many different types of students, new grads, associates, clinic owners. I've coached for years now. And I found that you have those individuals that are just happy with where they are and they don't want any more money. They just want to have more time and they want to create freedom in their lives. I mean, we had a conversation earlier today about this, about, what's your focus? Is it, how do you get that balance, right? How do you get that balance between, we're both dads, we're both fathers, we've both got children. Ofra is pregnant, so my wife is pregnant at the moment, due in December, and we have another child, Alfie. He's great, full of energy. But I'm trying to run a clinic. We're running one of the busiest clinics in the country. We're growing exponentially at the moment due to some of the systems that we've put in place and the team that we've got. But also, I'm growing clinic scale and growing the community, trying to help business owners realize their potential and grow to that freedom, and if that's what they want. But ultimately, getting that work to life balance. We were talking about work to life, and I said to you, well, for me, my businesses are my life. It's very different to how I see the business is very different to one of my employees. For
mhm.
them, it's more about, okay, am I getting my hours? Am I getting paid right? And am I getting personal development by working for your company? And whereas for me, it's about my personal development, but the time aspect is also important. And what about you, Tom? I mean, if I were to ask you this, I mean, if you had to start all over again, if you had to start from scratch, your clinic, career, everything, is there anything you would have done differently at this point, knowing what you know now?
Is there anything I would have done differently? It's a hard one to answer, isn't it? Was there anything I'd do differently? I mean, I see everything that I've done as I don't know because I've gained experience from doing all the stuff wrong, and gained it from operating towards burnout, and I've gained everything. So would I want to change it? Probably not, because it's part of what has got me to where I am now and built my understanding.
Hmm.
Would there be any systems that I'd look for? I think more there'd be more work done to like standards, but as in like this is what we expect, but not just as a job description, but like and this is the added link that I think a lot of us miss. And this is what it looks like to me. Because more often than not, I've had, well, this is what I'm expecting, the job description or whatever it is, and I want you to do this, this, and this. But their concept often of what that looks like in my head
Yeah.
is completely different to actually what I expect it to be. And we don't communicate that. I just expect them to be able to do that thing.
Mm.
So what I've learned over time is to elaborate in a more like sense of feeling for me, like what I want it to look like. And then when they understand that, they can buy into the perspectives of me, and then things run a lot clearer. Um, so it's actually, if you're going to do your core values, like the standard exercise to do would be to go, you know, you have your riling speech, and then you go, this is my core value, and this is why we've done this. And then this is what it looks like. We should be doing that in all aspects of work. We should be doing that for a job description. We should be doing that for
Totally. Totally.
how what we think our standards should
Yeah.
be. Because it's only when, and this is the other one that the wonderful Lawrence Tam, who's my coach at the minute, is educating me to do,
Mm.
is the next step, which is okay, now we've got all this down, what is the things that you'd be happy to let go of? And what would that look like and when? And that's a scary bump.
Lawrence Tam.
So
Yeah, I guess that's someone else you've name dropped there that we should get on the show. So, Lawrence, if you're
give you his
listening to this,
details.
I'm coming for you. I'm going to be finding you and getting you on here. Um,
You have to just say it in really slow because he listens to podcasts in 2 times speed. So if you say it really slow, it'll emphasize it in his headphones. That's a
Lawrence,
pattern
I'm
breaking.
coming for you.
That's not sinister, is it?
So, Tom, thank you for your insights there. Some really good points. Core values, what's important to you, really important. We talk about core values in clinic scale community a lot, so especially for our one-on-one clients. I always start there. The longer I've been in business, the more important I see core values. You hire your team based on your core values. I've used the core values before to, unfortunately, I've had to fire a couple of people. Not many, but a couple. We tried everything in our power to keep them and to make sure they were aligning to core values, and eventually, it just didn't work out. Um, Rewarding staff, reviewing staff, these are all really useful ways to use the core values. We have eight. We're trying to narrow it down more, but eight is probably my max. Do you have a core value? I know, Tom, I mean, do you have a core value that stands out to you that's your favorite, or do you have, would you say there's like maybe four or five that you like?
Um, mm, Black and white. Let's just say it. Let's not dance around it.
Yeah,
I
very
think there's a
direct,
problem.
very direct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's be honest and let's build into a community that we can actually trust when we say it out loud that it's from a point of trying to correct something, not from an attack. That's a that's a good one. But then I'm a Yorkshireman. Like if it's a spade, let's call it a spade. Let's not
less fluff, right?
dance around it. Less
I've always
fluff, more
noticed that
stuff.
about you, and I think that's one of the reasons why we hit it off straight away is because our personalities, in a way, are quite similar in the fact that we're both direct individuals, and we appreciate the less fluff in a conversation, the better. If you get to the point, the conversation can flow a lot more smoothly, if you like. Um,
Hmm.
but then obviously the nuances between the fluff are sometimes important too. But thank you for sharing one of your core values. If you want to find out more about core values, check out our Facebook page, and there's more on there, all about that. And we've got a whole course on that. Now, Tom, scaling versus stalling.
Hmm.
What separates chiropractors who scale from those who just stall out? So I always say that a lot of people have desire. They have this desire to be big business owners with the most successful clinics in the country, loads of free time, whatever their value is. They have this desire, but not everyone has ambition. And I've found this more recently with, people that I'm looking to help grow our clinics. We're looking to expand sites too. But, what do you find? What do you find it is that separates the chiropractors who scale to those who don't?
Two different questions from there. Okay, so what do I find in those that want to scale? What the traits of those that want to scale? Project people, people who like to see something created and like to see things work. I think they're the guys. Instead of it being driven by a need of, I want, um, I want to get directly to do it for more freedom, more time. I find they're the guys that are going to be have a rougher patch of scaling. Those that are like, I can visualize what I want it to be, and I want to do it because I feel that by doing it, I am creating something, and something will grow organically. And they're the guys that will fight hammer and tooth because it's more of an emotional attachment than a logical attachment to it. So that's the trait I see. I think the second part that I hit from that question, whether that is what you meant or not, was why do people have the ability to scale and others don't, is because it's procedures and systems. So procedures and systems based on what that vision is the thing that means that things can be repeatable.
Mm. What are those?
Without that,
Yeah,
and we did it,
repeatable
we failed
processes, right?
the
Repeatable processes and systems,
yeah.
procedures. Yeah.
I'm a victim of making things too complicated. and reviewing those process and systems. Okay. But for years we didn't like I could tell you and bullet point and say how I wanted it to go, but nothing was actually on the paper and was held to that. So that's where we stalled for a while, going back 8 years or so. Um, but yeah, does that answer the question? I'm not
No,
sure.
absolutely. Yeah, the difference between the two. It for me, the what I find is it's more the ambition. It's that willingness to almost do whatever it takes to succeed within reason. You need to have your non-negotiables in life. So my non-negotiables are set family time in the week, gym, sleep, and eating healthy. And looking after the people around me, my inner circle, if you like. But ultimately, the ones that stand out when I've coached clients, the ones that stand out that really implement what I'm saying are the ones that will do whatever it takes.
Hmm.
So you can take a horse to water, but you can't teach it to drink. So I can teach everyone all of these amazing systems, processes, using softwares that we've built within our businesses, but I can't spoon feed it to them. They are the ones that ultimately are going to have to implement these things, unless they use some kind of done for you services, which are in the pipeline. I've understood that more as I've coached people, is that some people they want to be coached, and some people they want things done with them, but some people just want things done for them. For example, I like to call the grunt work of a business. So things like, lead generation from like Facebook ads, grunt work, calling those leads, following up with those leads. This is all grunt work. And
So would you say that somebody who is in each one of those groups doesn't have ambition equally?
no, they can still have ambition. It's just they need to understand what their strengths are. Not just their strengths, but also what they want to be focusing on. Do you want to just be a business owner, training the staff, working on the systems and processes, or do you just want to be in the treatment room? Do you just want to be adjusting the patients? And until you understand what it is that you want your life to look like, it's very
That's
hard
it.
for you to spin all of those plates in a business, because ultimately, if you spin one plate, Tom, the other plate is going to fall down. I've always found this as well. And that's why when I started out in practice, I was doing everything. I was doing the marketing, the adjusting, the training, hiring associates, and ultimately something has to give. And if something doesn't have to give, it will be very difficult to grow from there. And there's certain things that I've had to sacrifice within the businesses in order to scale the clinic to serve more people through chiropractic care.
It just shows you though, it's all about working on that fundamental idea of what is it you want and
Mm.
how does that look. That's where we go back to with this, isn't it? It's not that one is more or less, it's just understanding actually, this is actually what I want. This is not what's distracting me, drawing my attention. And if I actually am spending my more time and energy onto the things which are not in alignment with where I'm going, then it's a waste.
It's like I ask my team if I notice that a team member is a bit distracted. Obviously, in a clinic, if you're trying to get work done in a clinic, this comes to a conversation about working from home versus, should we have hybrid workers, or should we just be working in the clinic? There can be so many distractions, even for myself. Like I limit the amount of time that I'm in the clinic versus I'm at home, because I'm actually way more productive when I'm at home in a room with headphones on. I know Alex Hormozy talks about this a lot. He's um, one of my role models. He started in the gym business, a very similar industry to chiropractic, and he scaled from there. And now he just acquires businesses. But he talks about focus time, and for him, he just puts in headphones in a room, a dark room, with no distractions. There's no even windows in there. It's just screens and a laptop. No distractions. Even his phone is settings are set to like a grey screen. I saw something quite recently on this, and I do the same. I try and do the same. If I'm at home, I try and keep that focus as best as I can. But it's very distracting in a clinical environment. So I mean, bringing it all back, if so, we're talking about the difference between those that scale and those that don't. What was the turning point for you, or the lesson that you learned that really helped change how you grew your clinic?
Get out of the way.
Bob being the bottleneck and getting out of the way.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Like we're talking about a lot of things there, but well, another thing that is why people don't scale is to try and micromanage everything. And I was the worst micromanager you would ever seen in my life, in anyone's life.
I don't believe that,
And yeah,
Tom.
again, yeah. But it's also that goes back to what we're saying. Like you've got to try and work out what is the thing that you are happy to give away. And that goes down to whether it's done for you services or whatever else. Working out where your skill set is. If you can do that, then that's what allows you to scale. That's what letting go of stuff where other people are better at it than me might not be within the same way that I would have done it, but having a conversation with them and working out the middle ground for it and then letting them run is being the biggest change.
So this has all been really useful so far, Tom. Thank you so much for sharing. What a great episode. I'm sure you can agree. Like, if I heard this episode 5 years ago, when I've just graduated, it would really helped in my journey to becoming a business owner and great chiropractor. Um, Tom, let's talk about something that our listeners could take away from today.
Hmm.
Is there one book, course, or resource every chiropractor should read or go through that would really help elevate their career?
I think instead of giving it like, well, obviously finding the primary, that'd be the one, wouldn't it? Got to use that plug at any time. The but the one resource I'm actually going to suggest is not a resource itself. It's an accountability group. Okay, like I was part of an accountability group with actually one Stefan for about 4.5 years. So when we first started, and we met every Thursday morning at 6 o'clock, and we set what we were going to do, and we um, held each other across the country accountable. And that was one thing that took 40 minutes, probably a week, actually made an impactful change because you had to turn up, and if you hadn't done it, you got a slap. But it also, I think, it has a massive benefit for clinicians out there because one, but it shouldn't just be your mates. It should be other people that you want to be in part involved with, or somebody who really inspires you or drives you. And it also means that people don't work in isolation. Like, don't forget, there's a big chunk of clinics out there that aren't like us, Andy, with big teams of 20 odd people and
Mm,
marketing managers and all this stuff.
yeah,
Like, there's a lot of people out there that have one-man bands, two-man bands, which for when we speak about these changes is a massive hurdle. So joining the group that you've got is amazing, but also taking some time to have a routine every week, month, every 2 weeks, and making sure that you are actually moving forward, I think is better than having a book to read or a podcast or something like that. It's something active, which is low cost, which has maximum impact. So
yeah.
go get an accountability group set up. Go for that.
Yeah, there's something we were discussing, myself and our marketing manager, Matt Dello. Um, we'll announce something in the Facebook group about that soon. We're going to set up an accountability group. From the coaching that I've done, what I've realized is that sometimes that's all people need. They might have the knowledge base, but sometimes it's just about implementation. And that is the part that a lot of people struggle with. So it's like I said before, you can take a horse to water, but you can't teach it to drink. But if you can be there when they're trying to drink, that really helps. So
It's also understand that your issues aren't only yours.
yeah,
It's actually widespread, and we're all just doing it in a different way.
yeah, and that's the
And
power.
actually,
That's the power of the group. That's the power of having a community. That's exactly why we set up Clinic Scale Community, the Facebook group. We wanted to provide a free resource and platform where people could just ask questions from like-minded business owners, associates, students. It's a community where we just support each other, and I felt like there wasn't really anything like that on Facebook for chiropractors, and I would have liked something like that was it as a student, associate, and a clinic owner. I mean, even now, I learn from people in the group, like Thomas Greenfield. We spoke about what his response, and that's so valuable to hear his insights. Tom, what's next for you? What's the mission with finding the primary?
Next mission, we just outrolling the courses for 2026. Like I said, there are 5 different courses that we run. There's the fundamentals, which is there to tell you which area to work on the machine. We've got 2 adjusting seminars, adjusting the primary, which is giving people the actual tools to do it. And then we've got an advanced um, course, which is all about now you've got the tools, let's work out how to really get the best results. Now you know where to go, what tool to use, let's work out how to use it. But then there's another thing that we do, which is the immersion once a year. So we could do an away day, well, away weekend. It's in Gloucester this year, limited to about 24 places. We have people come in and we really do time refreshing and actually working on you, your body, and understanding why things flag up in your innate intelligence or patterns that's providing. So for us, it's just expanding that community. We'd love for you two guys to reach out, and anyone who needs to contact us, follow us on socials. And we've got some great content coming up shortly that we've been working on. Hopefully that'll give people a bit of tips and tricks to make life a bit easier.
Nice. Thank you so much, Tom. We really appreciate you being on the podcast today. I can say from myself, I mean, it's been a long time coming. We speak regularly on WhatsApp, and we've been part of coaching groups in the past together, so we know each other really well. But I'm always learning from you, and I appreciate you. I appreciate the relationship we have. Um, would love to host you at our clinic in Christchurch. We've got enough space, we've got enough rooms and open plan space for you to come and do a course. So look out for that one, guys. I know it's in the pipeline. Now, Tom, any last points, any last things you'd like to tell our listeners?
Will be a final four. A final four is get out your head into your hands and be present with people and find out actually what they need instead of what you think they.
Get out of your heads and into your hands. I love that. I love that. Tom, thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of Clinic Scale Podcast. If you're listening and want to go deeper into these strategies, join the Clinic Scale community group on Facebook. You just type it in. It's Clinic Scale Community, Grow, Lead, and Scale Your Practice. We also run free Zoom calls on a Thursday at 8 p.m. That's every single week. No charge. It's all free of charge. We just want to help as many associate students and clinic owners as possible. And so if you're ambitious or you have the desire to be a successful chiropractor and you want to bridge the gap based on me spending over £50,000 in coaching in the last few years, the links are in the show notes. So if you're listening on podcasts or if you're watching this video, please look at the links and we'll see you there. Thanks for your time again, Tom. We really appreciate it.
See you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.